Hi students, Mrs. Stanley here. I am taking this opportunity to show you how to use the Hyperdoc. This is just an example of one type of Hyperdoc, so they may look different in the future, but generally all work the same. First of all, this is a title slide, and you would read this and then it says, click the image to get started. Whenever you click anything that's a link, you're going to see the link come up at the bottom and you have to click again. So it's basically 2 steps. If you want to avoid that, you can use the Google Slides in presentation mode. If I do that, it becomes more full screen, and anything that's a link, when I click this, it will automatically go. And so these are links, and it's a little bit zoomed in so you can't quite see everything, but basically I'm only showing you it that way so that you can see this is the way to use direct links. So again, for example, now this says unit guide start here. I would come here, this is the first page, I read all these information. The video that you're watching is actually the one that's linked right here. And so if I want to go back to the home page, I click here and it takes me back. That's what the little home represents. And you'll notice that on pretty much every slide. So let me go back out of this zoomed in screen and just look here. For now, there are some notes that are included that help you know. So for example, right here, this is the date of the unit assessment. It is the end of the unit, so all work needs to be done and submitted before the beginning of class on this date. So right here it is, August 27th, we're going to be taking our Unit 1 assessment. Okay, so everything has to be done by then because otherwise you won't do well on the assessment. Also right here, this is just an extra if you want it. When you have mastered a topic, you can click on the check mark and drag it to the sticky note. This will only work if you make your own copy because on Google Classroom, this is posted as a material, which means you can't edit it. But if you want to make a copy, you can come up here and do the make a copy of the entire presentation. The only thing I would caution you if you do that is sometimes I'm going to have to go back in and add more links or maybe make corrections. And so you would want to occasionally check on Google Classroom if there's any updates, especially if you get to a point where you're like, oh, nothing's linked, that means you need to go get a new one. But what this is you can drag this check mark and see there's just more check marks. And it can just help you keep track, okay, I'm done with this section, I'm done with this section. But notice the numbers go in order, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Oh, I have an error, I need to fix this. This is not right. But that's okay, I'll go back and fix it before I post it for you guys. But anyway, so what will happen is when you're here, we already looked at this one. So this is the unit guide, right? We just looked at it in the Zoom. Again, all you have to do is click twice. So now I'm ready to go to the first unit. And so it brings me here. Now these are not links within the document. This one is going to take me to Google Classroom where I have already posted your assignment. And if you requested, or if you got the packet of paper, which I actually sent home to all of you, if you came and picked up your materials, you have a packet, so you already have these documents printed out. The dictionary pages are actually on orange paper, and the notes pages are on white paper, but there's a title that says Geometry Notes. So you'd have these documents, you do need to post a picture. Notice right here, the work must be in your own handwriting. If you don't show your work, you don't get credit. What is showing your work? Set up the problem, show at least a step or two, unless it is the most basic problem like x equals 1 plus 5, then you would write x equals 1 plus 5 and then x equals 6. So that one only has 2 steps, but most things will have at least a couple steps in the process. So that's done with that one. Go back here. This is a video. You will notice we link to the videos. They are on YouTube, but it'll be my channel. Yes, my first name is Tamara, so it's Miss Tamara instead of Mrs. Stanley. That's just because the YouTube name of Mrs. Stanley was already taken because it's such a common name. So anyway, this is your video for the lesson. Feel free to speed it up right here. You can watch in 1.5 to whatever you want. That's perfectly fine, but do watch. And then here, this one is a link to Google Classroom for the practice assignment. So the other thing to notice is come over here and see where it says required. Notice these first 2 are required. This third one is not required. However, it's possible if you don't do well, which I'll talk about in just a moment, what I mean by do well, I could say, hey, you need to do this practice. So let's jump down here and you'll see right here it says it's time for a mastery check. So you click the image. The mastery check is explained right here. Basically, it's like a quiz. But instead of just calling it a quiz, because it's shorter, it's anywhere from 2 to 4 questions, maybe sometimes 5 if they're really simple questions, but where they're necessary. But you actually have to request it. So what will happen is you will click this link after you read everything, and there's a Google form where you tell me, I'm ready for my master check, answer these questions. If you make, it says right here, if you score 2 or less, you must complete the required practice for revision. So that is where it would come in. I'm going to go back to the home page. That's where it would come into this practice number 2 would then become required. Another thing that we're going to do is when you click this link, you will see the answer document. This one is a notes page, so nothing is blocked out. But for example, look at this one. Every other question is blocked out. And that's because you can check your answers, and if you're getting the ones that you can see correct, then most likely you're on the right track and you're doing good. And that's true the whole section. This is 1.1. These are the answer keys. You can see this side is blocked out because these couple of problems you need to try by yourself. This one, again, it's like every other problem. So you'll notice that these answer keys are provided. They're there linked on the document so that you can go ahead and check your work as you're going and at least check every other problem. That does not mean that you only have to do every other problem. The ones that you can't see are the ones that you need to do on your own. And then we'll check them and go over them. But the ones that you can see are there to help you know, oh, I'm messing up, I've got a problem, and try to find some help or send me an email, something like, hey, I'm getting these problems wrong, I'm not sure what's going on. Or ask a friend, another classmate, something like that. So that's what this check mark is for. It's saying, and it says here, click the image to check your answers and see how you're doing. Notice the recommended deadline. So remember, I told you that the final deadline is August 27th. So August 27th is when the whole unit has to be done. This one, the recommended, is saying if you finish everything on this page by the 16th, then you should be on track to finish, because what's going to happen is after you finish this page, you're going to go to 1.2. And again, now this one I haven't quite linked yet, but notice here, there are only a couple of things that you have to do. So anyway, this is the Hyperdoc. Everything is here. You'll see when you get to the final lesson, there's a thing right here. Click the image when you've completed everything above, and it will take you to tell you what to do at the end, like for study guide and all of that. So that is everything. Let me know if you have any questions.